In this video I'll be going through the installation of Kubernetes. So I'll be using kubeadm, which is probably the most low level, but it's the most configurable. There are a few other alternatives you can use. So there is KOps, which targets AWS or Google Cloud Platform. There is kubespray, that uses Ansible, I'm fairly certain, and it targets AWS, Google Cloud Platform, and bare metal. For this installation procedure with kubeadm, I am using a single network interface, so this would be a bridged network interface. There were some complications with having two network interfaces, so just bear that in mind if you are following along. Okay, so I'll be walking you through setting up Kubernetes on two virtual machines. So I'll be doing this through kubeadm. So I have two terminals open. The top terminal is the node, or it soon will be, and the middle terminal is the master. So first things first, we've got to turn off the swap partition. So we've got that. Okay. Next, we've gonna, as a note, wherever I'm installing something or downloading something, I'll cut that out of the video, and before I cut it out, I'll just say something like fast forward, so you know something's been cut out. Right, so let's begin with, so we need to, I've actually got these steps written down. Okay, so first of all, before we begin, we have to set a unique host name for each node, as well as the master. So let's begin with the master. So the password, so I think I've got it already. Yep, okay, so we've got that. Then we need to update the hosts file. One sec, so sudo su. Okay, so I've just logged in as root. I've modified the host file, so if you have a look here, hosts, master, there we go. So, right, so the next step would be we need to install Docker. So, fast forward. Okay, so we've got Docker installed. Now the next step is we need to install some additional dependencies before we install kubeadm. So fast forward. Okay, now we need to add the GPG key, and we're also modifying the repository sources. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we've got that. And finally, we install kubelet, kubeadm, and kubectl. So we first have to update, and I'll just go to the next one. Okay, fast forward. Okay, so we have installed kubelet, kubeadm, and kubectl, which is basically Kubernetes. Okay, so right, so that's fine. Okay, so we've got that, and now we will begin with initializing the cluster. So that is done through kubeadm. Actually, let me just stop that. So okay, so we're using kubeadm to initialize the cluster, and we are also setting a pod CIDR, which is basically, I think, a subnetwork. So the network that all the pods will be on. Right, so let's go ahead and do that. This shouldn't take too long. If it does, it probably will. So fast forward. Okay, so it has finally completed, and it has returned with a command, a kubeadm command that we will run on the node to join the Kubernetes cluster. So this is essentially all. We do need to install one more thing, but just to have a quick look. So if we do kubectl get pods, we need to, so in order to connect to Kubernetes, we need to we need a certificate, and that is automatically generated when we ran kubeadm init. Let me just find where that file is again. I think it's kubeconfig. Yeah, there we go. So essentially it's this file over here, and we are just setting a environment variable. So now if we do get pods again, it should show us that all namespaces. Okay, so these are all the pods running, and we see here that these two pods are not ready. So essentially we need to install a network plugin to get all the nodes and master talking to each other. So to do that, we will be using Flannel. There's various other network plugins. So yeah, so the command to get that, install the network plugin, is this command here, which we've just run. That has created a servers account, a config map, and a daemon set. So if we have a look at get pods again, it has spinned up a pod. Okay, so and then these core DNS pods are now ready. Cool. So I think we are pretty much set up with the master. Am I forgetting anything? Nope, I think that's it. Cool, so let's begin with the node now. So once again we have to install, just a sec, number one, we have to set a unique host name. So let's just go sudo su. So get those. Okay, let's just do that. Okay, so it's now, so we have now set the host name and have also updated the hosts file. So the next step is this. The next step is update the repository and install Docker, which are these two commands down here. So yeah, this is probably going to take a while, so fast forward. Okay, and we are back. So next step we need to do is install some additional dependencies. So very similar to the install procedure that we followed for the master. So the next command we are running is this command here, which is updating the repository and installing those, there we go, and installing the additional dependencies. Cool, that's already done. And once again we need to update the GPG keys and the repository sources. So we've got that done, cool. And then for the node we don't actually need kubectl, we only need kubelet and kubeadm. So we need to update again and install that, so fast forward. Okay, great, so it's now completed. So now what we have to do is also disable the swap. So we do that. And just to note that all these commands will not necessarily be persistent, so they won't remain after a reboot, but this is just as a demonstration of the install procedure. So okay, so we've got that, and now that we finally have the kubeadm and kubelet on the node, we can finally join the Kubernetes cluster. So we need to find the join command again, and you can do that with this command down here. So yep, so we've got this. Cool, so it's finally joined the cluster. So now if we say kubectl get nodes, it shows us out the node over here. We could also do get a wide, so output wide, and it show what? Why is it not ready yet? Might take a while. So yeah, so it shows the 2 IP addresses. Let's just try that again. Get pods, get core DNS. So this is probably well, it's downloading some images. It would have to download some images on the node itself, so that is probably why. Okay, so as you can see, kubeflannel has is running. Before it wasn't over here. So now if we have a look at the get nodes again, and finally it is ready. Cool, so with that said, we can go ahead and test a deployment. So I've got it noted somewhere down here. Cool, so yeah, this is just a project from GitHub. So I mean on GitHub, not from the actual organization. So I'm just going to run that quickly. So I'm running this from the master. It has created a service and a deployment. So we have a look. Get deployment. So that is the deployment. It shows us all this information. So we've got that, and then we can have a look at the service. Okay, so this is the service it has created. So this service is running on a node port of 30184. So if we should be able to reach this port on any of the nodes, which in turn, I should have actually explained that, yeah, this is just a test deployment, and if you, on the container, if you just do a HTTP request, it responds with a hello world or something like that. So what we need to do now is just ping that page, do a HTTP request. So do we have Wiget? Yes, we do. So Wiget, and then we go localhost, and then the port, which is here. Cool. So it's saved that to that file. So if we go last index, and this is the response. And we should also be able to fetch that on the node on the very same port, and it's also gone through, and we see the same result.